Good morning, everyone. Today we're on lesson 5, if you have your book, Moses. So when I first started reading about Moses, I wasn't impressed. I'm going, a great man, oh man, he's kind of like a scaredy cat. But as you read more, you'll understand that no, he was a strong man. Where do we first see Moses? What's going on? He's in a reed basket. He's probably 3 months old. They put him in a reed basket, and his sister set him in the Nile and let the water take him. Does anybody know what Moses means? Drawn out of the water, which is interesting. So we don't see much of Moses in the first 40 years. There's one incident that happens that brings him to light. A Hebrew is being beaten. Moses stops it and kills the Egyptian that's doing it. And he thought he got away with it. And to the next day, he saw a couple Hebrews fighting, and he says, "What are y'all fighting for?" And it says, but the one who was mistreating his neighbor pushed Moses aside and said, "Who appointed you ruler and judge over us? Do you want to kill me the same way you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" Well, that was the sign that Moses was heading out of Dodge. 40 years old, he packs up and he goes to Midian. We kind of pick up on him there. If you watch the movie Moses gets in a fight at the well because some other sheep herders are sheep herders. Well, that's why, they're shepherds, are mistreating the ladies at the well. And he meets his wife, Zipporah. He spends another 40 years being a shepherd. Then he's out with the sheep shepherding or doing whatever he had where he was shepherding, and he sees this fire on Mount Sinai, we're guessing, because it's in the Sinai area. And he said, look at that. Then he goes, look at that. There's a fire, but the bush ain't burning up. Now, how many of you ever been camping? If we've been camping, wouldn't you love to have a fire that never went out? Or you have a fire at your house, or when I was a kid, we had a wood-burning stove, so somebody had to get up and throw wood in the stove. Wouldn't it have been nice to have wood that just burned? But Moses piqued his interest, something he never saw. And I can tell you, I've seen a lot of fires, and I've never seen one that didn't go out. So Moses is going, what in the world's going on up there? So he goes up there, and an angel of the Lord comes to him and says, hey, you got to take your sandals off. Take your shoes off. Somebody asked, do we take our shoes off before we come into this holy ground? I said, no. I said it would be weird. Moses took his sandals off and came face to face. Well, not really face to face, but the Lord talked to him. Moses is one person that saw God, saw the backside of God, and it made him glow like he'd been at Nerchobo or something like that. He was glowing so much they had to put a veil over him so he could come down off the mountain. Wow. Wow. But God had told him, this is what you're going to do. I've heard the groans of my people. And guess what, Moses? You're going to go free them. And that's what Moses did. He's like, hi, you okay? Moses asked a couple questions. The first one he asked, who are you? Who do I tell him you are? I like the answer. I am who I am. Now you've heard that, if you watch any cowboy movies or anything like that, you've heard that used. But that is a strong statement. That means it doesn't matter because I can wipe out whoever I want. I'm the strong guy in this battle, so I am who I am. Moses, of course, is saying, well, you know, I'm not really good at talking. Now, they think Moses had a speech impediment. And a lot of the stuff I said, most likely he stuttered. And Moses is like, well, I can't talk real well. I'm not capable of doing that. And to me, it sounded like almost God says, okay, Moses, take Aaron with you. Kind of just, okay, I'll take Aaron with you. You know, I'm kind of tired of arguing with you. You just take Aaron with you. So they go and they have a task. Now, we just read about where Moses had killed someone. Now, all the rulers at that time were gone. So it was a new king, new Pharaoh. But he's going back to the same people that basically laughed at him. You're going to rule us? Ha! That's one thing he had to deal with. That would be pretty hard to try to tell people that you're going to go. And it's not like he's taken 10 people or even 100 people. You know, you got Moses and Aaron. 2 people are going to take estimated over 1.5 million people out of Egypt. But it took some convincing. And the Pharaoh was pretty dumb. So what was the first plague? Anybody know all the plagues? First plague was blood. Turned the water to blood. That in and of itself, if you've ever smelled blood, and if you've ever smelled blood after a couple of days, it really don't smell very good. Kind of stinky. You can't drink it. So people there needed water. And from my reading, even the water they had stored in the jars turned to blood. So they had nothing. That's plague number 1. I think that would be enough for most of us to say, all right, I think your people can go. But no, then the plague of frogs. I'm thinking frogs, and if you've seen Moses, the 10 Commandment movie, which it'll be on tonight, I think. If you've seen that movie, it doesn't do the frogs justice. We're talking frogs on top of frogs, on top of frogs. You can't even walk without stepping on a frog. Now that's pretty bad in and of itself. Then you get gnats. Doyle, you ever mowed the lawn and all of a sudden you hit this thing of gnats and you can't get them out of you? I mean, they are all over you. But these gnats are everywhere. See, we got 3 already and I'm going, I don't even want 1, 3. Then flies. Flies are just as bad as gnats. Has anybody seen Amityville Horror? There's a picture in there where this room is full of flies. And I kind of imagined that when I read this. I'm going, golly. Then they had a plague on the livestock. And as I'm reading these, I'm going, these are terrible, but I'll get down to the one that really set me over the top. You have boils on your skin. They're scraping it with pottery and stuff to get these boils to go away. Then you have hail. We're probably going to see some of that later this afternoon. I heard the weather's going to get bad. I hope not. But hail can damage crops like no other. And if the hail didn't get them, the next plague was going to make sure it was gone. The locusts. The locust is going to come in and clean up the hail damage. Now, I'm going through these and, I know God, the Pharaoh hardened his own heart on a bunch of these. When we get down to the last one, he said, let him go. But the next one was darkness. Has anybody been to Mammoth Cave? If you've been to Mammoth Cave and been in there, I know they shut the lights out. Can you imagine being in that darkness that long? Because they were like that for 3 days. No matter where they were at, they couldn't see their hand in front of their face for 3 days. And I'm not afraid of the dark at all. But after 3 days, I might be afraid of the dark. Moses again comes to him. He said, all right, we're going to do the plague of the firstborn. All the firstborn babies are going to be killed. Unless, what did they tell the Hebrews to do? Put blood over the doorpost. And the Spirit will pass by your home. And the Pharaoh was still hard-hearted. But when his boy died, he said, all right, go tell Moses to get rid. We won't get shed of them. We want them all gone. So Moses gets all his people ready. Now get 1.5 million people ready to travel. I didn't look up how far it was from where they were at to the Red Sea, but probably a pretty good distance. But when they got there, of course you have the Red Sea, but by then the Pharaoh had said, you know what? We sent all our help. We're going to have to start doing all this stuff. We're going to have to do all the work. We need to go get our workers back. Because I ain't doing it. And nobody else wanted to do it. So they went after him. And Moses is at the Red Sea. Now, all this time, Moses' faith, and I think with each one of these, Moses' faith grew stronger and stronger and stronger. Because what God said he was going to do, he did. Maybe you can get past the first one because the guy's magic guys, and they could do the same thing. Not really. Because what is magic? It's sleight of hand. What God did wasn't sleight of hand. When you can make the water in the river turn red to blood, and you make the waters in the jars turn to blood, no. So you get to the Red Sea. And I'm saying now Moses' faith has grown tremendously. between the first plague and this. Now he's at the Red Sea. And he's got 1.5 million people who sees the dust cloud coming. And they ask Moses, why did you bring us out here to die? Because the army's after us. They're coming. So what does God do then? There's a couple of things that takes place. Pillar of fire. He blocks the... Now, here again, I think, I think the second in charge should have went up to the Pharaoh and said, dude, have you not seen all this stuff? Have you not seen what's going on? We can't beat this. That's what you would have thought. Somebody would have had the guts to say it. But that would have ruined the story. Because God says, no, we're going to go through the Red Sea on dry land. What is in Moses' mind then? I've read stories. And if you read these stories, there's a whole lot of explanations people have to why, it just moved to one end. No, that's not what it said. There's 2 walls of water. It's plainly in the Bible that there's 2 walls of water. And the land is dry. If you live near the lakes, I lived up in Michigan near Lake Erie. If you get a strong east wind from the west, it'll blow the lake east. It will blow the lake all the way back to Buffalo, basically. And the lake there where I was at, Lake Erie, would be dry, and no water out 200-300 yards because all the water is piling up at Buffalo. That is a true thing. That happens. And it happens a lot towards spring and winter, right at the end of winter. I've seen it happen. I've been to the lake when the water disappears and you wonder where it went. And Buffalo calls and says, listen, y'all want your water back? Because they already had all the snow, all the other stuff. They got a lot of water. So all them stories that, that didn't happen, it wasn't that deep. So a wall of water, it's not going to be knee deep. You can walk across that without splitting it. And the horses could go through that without doing that. God splits the water. We see it in the movie. I don't know how it happened in the movies. I know how it happened how they did that on film. But this is in real life. He told Moses to raise his staff in his arms and the water would divide. What do you tell your people? And of course, they see the chariots coming and they know if you've been around horses that run through a field, they make a lot of noise when they're coming up. I had a friend they had 20 horses or so, but when they ran to the barn, you could hear them coming a long way off. And I'm sure with the chariots and all the other stuff, they were still a long way off, and these Hebrews could hear the chariots coming and the horses coming. And the soldiers, of course, are yelling and screaming and making noise. So the fear was high. Then you're asking people to walk through a place where there just was an ocean. The Red Sea. Now you're taking 1.5 million people with kids and everybody through, and if I'm one of the kids going through there, what am I going to do? I'm going up to the wall and putting my finger in it and hope the water don't come pouring in once I put a hole in it. But they go through and I don't understand. Yeah, I just have no, really? Moses had faith. Faith that the water was going to stay where God just put it. Because if you're taking 1.5 million people through, there's got to be people grumbling about. I'm guessing the people in the front were running. This can't stay like this too long. We got to go. Now, I don't know for sure how long it took them to get through there. But I know that God provided a way out. Moses got a lot of questions. Before they even crossed the Red Sea, I talked about the question, did you bring us out here to die? And he gets asked that question a few more times along the way. Did you bring us out here just to die? Did you just bring us out here so they could kill us anyway? We're better off back where we were. Now, it's hard for me to imagine because I was thinking about the Jewish people during World War II. Would any of them, if they escaped out of the concentration camp, said, I want to go back? Nope, I don't think so. It's difficult for us to understand because we've never been in a situation where we've had to be put in that kind of fire. Now, remember, Moses is Moses and Aaron. And he's probably got a few other guys that are helping him, hey, you need to help us kind of herd these people this way. But that doesn't make them loyalists. It doesn't mean they're loyal to Moses. They're just helping. Directing people through. And I don't know what the seafloor looked like. But they said it went through on dry land. Don't know how wide it was. But chariots could run through it. So it had to be, I'm going to say, wide as the back of the building here. Maybe wider. That is a lot of room. But there's a lot of people. I wonder how long it takes 1.5 million people to walk whatever distance they had to go through the river, because I haven't seen that anywhere, because they don't know where they crossed at. They have speculation where they crossed at. I didn't like any of the speculation, though, because the speculation has to go with something other than God parted the water. It's amazing to me how we argue, well, God didn't do that, or that wasn't even in the Bible, and a week later they're digging somewhere in Egypt and they come up with this stone, and this stone's got names on it. Well, now what are you going to do? There's a stone from that time and it's got their names on it. And it's been proven over and over, the things. Moses' name is mentioned, depending on who who you look at and what version of Bible you have, somewhere between 850 and 750 times. Acts, I'm reading, some of this I got here is from Acts 7, starting with about, let me see here, 23, somewhere in there, a little bit before that. This is in Acts. Stephen has a talk he's doing and mentions all this when he's speaking. And the faith of Moses doing these things and taking people out. Moses had to know very well what the cost was going to be and what was in the balance to get everyone to go. Moses had other troubles along the way before they got to after they got across the Red Sea, but he got them there. Now, a lot of us, you might know, you might not, that God wanted to kill them all. He got Moses to say, "Come here, Moses. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to wipe them all out. You and Aaron come with me and we'll start over." Wow. When I read it, I'm going, really? This isn't part of the story I've ever seen before. I have this theory about the flannel board faith. And all of you know what a flannel board is. We used them as kids when I was in Bible class downstairs, not at this church, but at my church. But I'm guessing they had flannel boards here too. And I'm pretty sure with Miss Carolyn around, yes, they had flannel boards. We're not talking a flannel board here. We're talking real life stuff. We can say this happened, we can say that happened, but until you're there. So they get through this sea, the Red Sea. They all get up on dry land. Moses is the last person through, Moses and Aaron. He gets up there and God says, "All right, Moses." And the sea falls back in. If you watch, again, the movie Moses, you see how the destruction, but I do believe that 100%. It destroyed everything, every person that was in the sea when that wall of water came back. Not a one of them was left. Now, we don't get to hear the story, what happened back in Egypt, because all of a sudden they don't come back. The army, the chariots, none of it comes back. Wouldn't there be questions? There would be a news investigation on every channel. But, so now he has them across and safe, and for a couple days, they sing praises. But a couple days after that, they're back to grumbling again. If I had seen what they seen, it's like the song, "Have you seen Jesus, my Lord?" If somebody would ask the Hebrews, "Have you seen God?" Well, yeah. We just walked through an ocean, water on both sides, not in the middle, it was dry. That's not what they did. They complained, they grumbled. And to me, that kind of sounds like us. It might not be with the ocean. It might not be, but it seems that a lot of times as a people, we grumble. And I'll be the first to say, I'm one of them people. I grumble. I know who God is. I know what he's done. I know his son. I know what he's done. And I still grumble. Moses has to take these people, and this is the one that they grumble for 40 years. 40 more years they grumble on a 5-day journey for 40 years. Sounds like Gilligan's Island. You have it all right there. You know what God has done for you, but they can't stop thinking about themselves. Isn't that usually where we grumble? Because we're thinking about ourselves, not thinking about the other person, not thinking about, it's like if I get in an accident, I've been hit, man, I was grumbling. Then I thought about the person who hit me. All of a sudden, I quit grumbling because the person who hit me hadn't got out of their car yet. Well, they were all right, but I didn't know that until I got out of my car and went and checked on them. Now, maybe I grumbled a little bit more after I found out they were all right. But when that's my first thought, oh, poor pitiful me, my car's crashed. Oh, poor pitiful me, we lost, like a storm. We lost 2 trees. Now I'm going to have to cut them up. But you still have your house. You still have your health. You still have God who is going to protect you. And we don't go there right at the start. It seems we go out somewhere else. And that seems like what the children of Israel were doing. They were complaining every day. I mean, I just wondered, Moses, time to get up. I ain't getting up. I ain't going out there with a bunch of grumbling crybabies. Kind of tired of them myself. But when God said, Moses, you know what we're going to do? You and Aaron are good, but we're wiping out everybody else. What did Moses say to God? He says, I know. But if you do that, word's going to get back to Egypt. And people are going to say, you see, even their God couldn't save them. Leadership, faith. How many people would sit there and tell God no because this is going to happen if you do? Any of us going to say that to God? Moses said, Lord, you really can't do that. Now, what happened after that? What happened after we get there? We're 40 years in. What happens then? What do they do? They get the 10 Commandments. Then what do the children of Israel do? What are they doing while Moses is up on the mountain? They're building an idol, having a party. Not a nice party either. Not a party to God. And Aaron even let them do it. But again, I say there was Aaron and Moses is up on the mountain, so you got 1.5 million people that you're in charge of, and I don't blame Aaron. Well, I do, kind of, because he knew what God was capable of. All he had to do was ask. Hey, God, can you please put a kibosh on these guys for a while? What did their grumbling and golden calf get them? Another 40 years, right? Okay, all you people are grumbling. We're gonna wander around the wilderness a little bit longer, and all you people that are grumbling, when you all die, then we'll go across to the promised land. Now we know Moses along the way messes up, hits this rock. But what was this? God had told him previously to strike the rock and water will come out of it. But Moses didn't follow instructions. And Moses was left on Lookout Mountain overlooking the promised land, and that's where he died. He didn't even have to bring him all that way because of one mistake that he made along the way. He did not get to step into the promised land. Take this story to now. God sent us a Savior. And that is why we're going to get to step into the promised land. Not because of anything we did, because if Moses, them people seen him, the only person that knew he did something wrong was Moses and God. And he didn't get to go into the promised land. Man, if I did one mistake and I didn't get to go to the promised land, I'm in trouble. If one mistake's going to send me any place other than the promised land, I'm in a lot of trouble. But we have the blood of Jesus with a God who loves us that is going to get us to the promised land. That's all I have for today. I want to thank you all for listening. You all have a good afternoon.